Hello everybody, Heather here from Felt Mercantile, and we are back for day 15 of our DIY Advent Calendar series. I did have a video planned for today, but we got our first request. So thank you to Brianna for requesting a maple syrup bottle, and being the proud Canadian that I am, I definitely had to try out this project because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So this is my first time making this. I'm assuming it's your first time making this as well. I will show you what materials you will be needing today. So you're going to need 2 pattern pieces cut of the cream felt in a bottle shape. Just going to be flat on the bottom and then kind of tapered rounded on the edge with that little handle piece there. So 2 of those pieces. We are going to be needing some tan felt pieces cut in, actually it's the exact same size as our bottle here, so you can use your bottle for reference, but just 2 of these pieces cut the same size, plus a tiny tan oval for the bottom. Then we are going to be needing the dark brown felt, a teeny tiny little rectangle, and a very small little circle, and that's going to be the cap for our bottle. Then I had to show some Canadian pride here and add a maple leaf, which you see on most maple syrup bottles, because let's face it, most of it comes from here. Also for this project today, you will be needing some cream colored thread, some tan colored thread, some dark brown colored thread, and some red colored thread, as well as your needle and some polyfill and your trusty pokey stick. So we are going to start by sewing the tan pieces onto the bottle pieces. So you are going to just get your tan thread, get that all set up on your needle, and I'll come back in a second and show you what you need to do to get started. Okay, to start our project today, I would suggest lining up your 2 bottle pieces, just kind of building this at a flat scale so you don't get mixed up. And then add your tan piece on top of the one side, flip that over, add the other tan piece to the other side, and then you're just going to be working on one of them right now, so just put that aside. And I will show you what we need to do. So you'll want to line it up so that it's nice and flat and flush to the piece. And we're going to come in with our needle in behind. And I'm actually going to give this a couple extra stitches. We're going to be doing a running stitch for this one here. So just in through the top and out through the bottom. Or sorry, up through the bottom, just to reinforce it, and then we're going to do the running stitch all the way along. So we're going to go down through the top, oops, try not to get your knot, down through the top, already tangled, great start. That's my own fault. Alright, there we go. So up through the top, up through the bottom, and down through the top. And just going to do that along the whole top edge, just this top edge. You're going to want to leave this bottom part open, and we're going to tie off right here. So just tie off at the very end when we're done, and do that with both of these pieces. I'm going to do that, and I will come back to show you the next step. Okay, so I have finished sewing along the top here, so we have 2 pieces that look something like this. So next, you're going to want to, I like to have my little handle on this side, so we're going to be working on this piece to be the front of our piece. You're just going to take your little maple leaf, and I kind of want to line it up. Well, you can do it any way you want, but I'm going to line mine up so that the syrup goes through the back there. So you'll take your red thread and make sure it's centered, because you don't have too many opportunities to redo this once you start. You're just going to come in from the bottom on the very edge of the red piece, and we're going to do another running stitch, so down through the top, up through the bottom, and you're going to do that all the way around the whole entire edge of this little leaf, and we will come back in a moment when we have attached this piece. Okay, I have finished attaching that little leaf. As you can see, I used a slightly darker red color for the stitching, just because I think it gives it that nice like Canadiana vintage look that I was going for. So next you're going to be taking, so these will be the outside finished pieces. You're going to be wanting to take those and make sure the leaf and the tan bits are on the inside. You're going to line up these bottle pieces, and then we're going to take our tan thread and you are going to come in through the bottom and just do a whip stitch until we get to the top of the tan. You can tie off, and then we're going to do with the cream colored thread, we are going to whip stitch around this whole edge to the very top corner here. You don't want to be sewing the top bit here, but just the very top corner. And just make sure that you are grabbing, when you're doing your whip stitch, that you're going through all 4 pieces here on the tan bit. And I'm going to finish that up, this whole edge, and I will come back in a moment to show you what to do next. See you in a second. Okay, we are back. I have finished whip stitching the whole entire outer edge here. I used the tan for the bottom and the cream thread for the top, so we've got a piece that's looking kind of like this. So I'm going to show you the next bit. You'll have your cream thread, you should already have it on there, and you're going to want to start at the very top corner. Remember, we're leaving this little bit open here. You can choose to close it off later on, but this will leave your options open for customization. So we're just going to whip stitch. If you forget what the whip stitch is, I'm actually doing this one backwards, but it's just in through the bottom and out through the top, in through the bottom, out through the top, and you're going to want to do that just to this little edge piece here. We don't actually want to sew the handle right now, so just go to the corner. I like to do an extra reinforcing stitch just in the corner there, one extra, and then we're going to tie off here. So to tie off, because we're flipping this piece too, I've been doing 2 knots. So 1, 2, 3 loops around our little loop, and pull that slowly until it's tight, and then I just do another one. It's almost like you start a whip stitch and then make your loop. Do 3 little loops and pull that off. So you can cut your thread, and then you can tie a knot in the end again. To do that, I just wrap it around my fingers twice, give it a little snap just to twist it, and then pull it down there. These big honking knots don't really matter because they're going to be hidden in the inside of our piece anyways. So you're going to want to skip this whole entire bit entirely and just start again right underneath the little handle part and just whip stitch all the way along down to here with the cream, and then tie off, start again with the tan down to the very bottom corner. Leave this bottom open for stuffing and flipping it inside out, and remember to get all 4 pieces as you're going along there. and I will see you in a moment when I'm done. Okay, we have finished sewing our bottle piece, so we're just going to turn it inside out. Now, I was just thinking as I was sewing this, I may have some people asking why I didn't cut away this excess white or cream that's not going to be seen. It's because I want this bottle to stand up, and so I wanted to give it the 4 layers on the bottom so it would have a little more oomph. So let's flip it inside out. Make sure you're flipping to the 2 brown layers on the inside. And this one, we have tied off a lot on the ends, but you still try not to pull your stitches too much because you don't want to rip them as you're flipping this inside out. So push it as much as you can. This is always my favorite part because you get to see what you've been sewing for the last little while. Just take your finger and run it along the inside of the stitches, and that just stretches that out. So this is where the pokey stick comes in handy. You're going to want to look inside as you do this, just so you don't catch any materials you don't want to be catching, and you're just going to poke through. This is why we left this top piece open right now, well, one of the reasons, but you're just going to want to gently push that through. Also poke out these little handle pieces that we have yet to sew. Be very gentle with them as they are thin. Just pull them out. Perfect. And finish poking the stem through. Awesome. So you can also run your little pokey stick along the seams in the inside too, just to get the shape that we've created. Great, so that's how we're looking so far. So I will, for the next step here, we are going to need our cream thread, and here, wait, I might as well get that set up to show you this final outside piece that we need to sew. Whoops, that did not work. Let's try some more. So this is going to give me some trouble. I can tell right now. There we go. Oh my goodness, I purchased some terrible thread, obviously. There we go. I usually just use whatever I have laying around. I try to purchase thread colors in the same colors of felt that I have, just to have on hand, and it makes it easier. Whoops, I was going to use my teeth. I can just hear my mother saying, Heather, no, use those scissors. And, you know, now that I'm a mother and setting by example, I should probably stop doing that. So thread your needle here, and we're going to want to hide our knot in the inside. And I'm just going to come right in the bottom inside corner of this little circle that we've got going on here, on one of the sides, just to hide our knot, and tuck that inside. Now, this is the tricky part. So we're going to kind of move this out of the way, and you're just going to do this little inside edge here. So just whip stitch in this tiny hole all the way around the inside of the handle piece without trying to get your thread caught around the fabric. That's why we're pushing it out of the way here and not sewing through the hole. And remember, in each little corner to do an extra stitch just for extra reinforcement. And you can turn your piece as you're working to make this easier on you. Make sure you're picking up both of these tiny little pieces. I am really glad I had this project request, guys, because I have a bit of a maple syrup obsession. I've actually made maple syrup before. I grew up near Ottawa in Canada, and it's like right kind of close to maple syrup country. So, and when I say I made maple syrup, I really just helped collect pails. Like, let's give credit where it's due. My father actually did all the hard work, the tending the fire night and day for forever, to get the amazing stuff. And I can buy it from the store, but if I manage to get a bottle of that stuff that my dad made, my goodness, it is just, you can eat it with a spoon. So good. Or on ice cream. I'm making it sound like all us Canadians just like eat maple syrup all the time. I don't know if all of us do, but this one certainly does. Okay, so now that we have sewn the whole outside of this little piece here, I'm going to tie off my thread. Actually, you know what? I won't tie it off. I'm going to just transfer it through the inside. So extra reinforced in the corner. And then I'm going to separate these layers to make it easier on yourself of the handle, and you're going to come down in through one layer of the top and just out in the middle here, and then we can just kind of pull our stitch over to the outside, and then you're going to want to whip stitch the outside. So just finish, without trying to pull too much because you don't want to lose that shape, just finish whip stitching the top edge here. If you want, you could probably tie off inside if you've got enough space in that little hole. If you don't worry about it, just do a thin little tie just in that top corner, and I will come back in a second to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I've finished stitching just around the edge there, and now we're going to come in with our stuffing. So I will be sewing a bottom piece on here, but I just want to get a bit of stuffing in here just to help with the shaping as I'm going along. So I did put a larger piece in there, but then I'm just going to push that down to the edge. We can always come in a bit later to fill the top out on its own, but just that's a kind of a nice shape that I want. I don't want it to be too bulky, like you don't want to be stretching your stitches or anything, but full enough so that it's nice and solid. And oh, that's looking so nice. I also want to keep it a little flat rather than round. So, and then make sure that you're getting all your little corners and everything. They're all filled out. So I'm going to put a bit more stuffing in here. And I'll finish up stuffing it once I've sewn a bit of this on. So I'm going to take my tan oval shape, and we're just going to place that on there. What I like to do actually is, so take your tan thread, I like to give this little fold in half just so we can find our center, make it easy. You're going to come right up through the center, just hiding your knot in the bottom there. Oops. And then I will come up through the very center where my stitches are of the tan piece, and that actually really helps you line it up. So now that we've got, oh my goodness, now that we've got that kind of anchored on there, you can just start going around and whip stitching. You know what, I might actually put in another anchor piece on the other side just to keep that nice and uniform, but then you can just go around and whip stitch around, actually we'll just do half, leave the other half open just to finish up any last bit of stuffing, and then finish off sewing here, and I will show you the next piece of the project. So just yeah, whip stitch all around the bottom, stuff, whip stitch the top, and we'll be back in a second. All right, we are back. The bottom is finished. I just wanted to mention that when you're whip stitching, if you just pick up the two tan pieces as opposed to the cream piece, then you won't have any of the cream showing on the outside. So I moved my camera up because I realized that I don't think you guys can see this whole project. Next we are going to take our dark brown thread and our tiny rectangle, and you're just going to fold it in half, sew those two ends together with a whip stitch, and we are going to be flipping this one inside out. Oops, try not to get your stitches stuck there. See, even myself, who's been doing this for quite a while, still makes silly little mistakes like that. So definitely don't get down on yourself if you're just starting and find that these pieces don't want to work with you the way that you want them to. Okay, so we're going to flip this guy inside out. What I'm going to do is put my needle through just so it is on the outside once I flip. So now that I've flipped that, just going to, oh my goodness, I accidentally picked up, there we go, accidentally picked up some felt there while I was doing that up. That's better. So you're going to want to put, I always put this on my finger, I find it easier, and then put the circle on the top and just start whip stitching around the whole top of this circle. So I want to thank Brianna again, shout out definitely for requesting this project. And if you guys have any project ideas, the whole point of this DIY calendar series I'm doing is to make what you want to make. So let me know in the comments what kind of projects you want to work on, and I'm pretty sure I can create a pattern for you. It might not be the next day because it might be something pretty involved, but I don't mind making anything really that you maybe have seen on Pinterest. We all know how addictive that can be. I don't mind recreating patterns. Or if you just have an object that you want to try and recreate as a felt piece, I'm sure we could work that out as well. So let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos. Also let me know if, because I'm literally just starting out with my YouTube channel. I mean, if you're watching this a year from now, it might seem crazy, but this is the first 2 weeks of me doing these videos. So if you have any suggestions, or if you're like, hey Heather, I can't see what you're doing, move your camera up, then I can definitely take those on board as well. Or something I noticed in my videos that I'm trying to stop doing is I would always drop my pokey stick on the table, and it was just so loud in the watch back, so I stopped doing that, or tried to stop so I could save your guys' hearing. So now that we've done that, we're just going to tie off, and that piece is done. So we have that little cap. So there's a couple different ways that you can finish this. First of all, I would recommend just giving this a tiny bit more stuffing in the top so that our stem is all nice and stuffed. And so you can either close this off, just pinch it, whip stitch the top and close it off, or you can get another tiny circle of the cream color to just whip stitch along the top. Or what I am going to do after I put this cap on, I'm actually going to whip stitch this cap to the piece, just because I have toddlers, and it's not that they put stuff in their mouth anymore, it's just stuff goes missing so quickly. I know after Christmas I'm going to have all tiny random toys everywhere. I won't know what goes with what because I have family sending me packages for my girls. All right, now that that's all stuffed, so we're pretty much done this project. There we go. Put the little cap on top. And we've got ourselves a finished bottle. That was a really fun project. If you guys have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Very proud to show off my Canadian heritage through our maple syrup bottle here. So thanks again, guys, for joining. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up below. If you have future video ideas, send me a comment down below as well. You can find all my links to my website, social media channels in the description below as well. And don't forget to subscribe. Click that alert button, because if you do make a comment and I do make your video, you definitely want to make sure that you're not missing out on that. So thank you again for day 15 and from Felt Mercantile, of course, and we will see you tomorrow in our next video. Bye, guys.